Namaskar to all of my story lovers. Welcome back in Storytime channel. I'm Pallavi reading interesting stories for you. Today I'm reading The Maiden of the River. In this story, I am reading the four different stories of Ganga River. Now let's go through it. The river Ganga, considered to be of the feminine gender, is one of the most sacred and vital rivers in our country. It boasts multiple tributaries and flows down from the Himalayas, originating in the caves of Gangotri in Uttarakhand. A mythological story surrounding the Ganga suggests that Vishnu took the avatar of a dwarf named Vamana and asked Emperor Bali for 3 feet of land, and that each step he would take must equal the size of one of his feet. After Bali agreed to what appeared to be a simple request, Vamana expanded in size until he became a giant called Trivikrama. With 1 foot, he occupied all of the land on earth, while the second occupied the sky. The third pushed Bali down. When the second foot occupied the heavens, Brahma recognized the foot to be that of Vishnu's and became thrilled at the opportunity to perform a puja for the Lord. So he took some water from his small kamandalu and washed Vishnu's foot. Once he did so, the water on earth began to flow like a river in the heavens, and the Ganga was created. This is why the river is considered very holy and is also called Dev Ganga. Another story about the river involves the short tempered sage Durvasa. The sage was once taking a bath in the Ganga in the heavens when suddenly a strong breeze blew away the cloth that he had been wearing. Ganga saw this and laughed. Durvasa became furious and cursed her. You are a river that resides in the celestial realm, but your immaturity displays your behavior, similar to that of the humans on earth. From now on, you will reside on earth instead. Ganga realized her petty sin and apologized to Durvasa, who had by then calmed down. He said, I can't change the curse. You will flow on the earth, but I will give you a special power. Whoever takes a dip in your pure waters will be immediately cleansed of any sins they have committed. That's why people visit the Ganga in places such as Haridwar, Prayag, Rishikesh, and Kashi even today to absolve themselves of their sins. Now, the another story. There once lived a king named Bhagiratha who wanted Ganga to descend from the heavens to the earth. The king's ancestor had been reduced to ashes, and the only way for them to obtain salvation was for the river Ganga to flow over their ashes. After much prayer and penance to the gods, Ganga was allowed to flow on the earth, but she followed with such a force that she could have easily submerged the entire planet. So Shiva decided to direct only a fraction of her flow to the earth by holding her in his jata or hairdo, thus earning his name Gangadhara. Yet her force was so strong that when she reached earth, The gush of water flooded the ashram of sage Janu. Jahanu became so livid at the destruction that he drank the river. Ganga was then unable to proceed further. Seeing that the river had stopped flowing, Bhagiratha prayed again, and soon the river emerged through Janu's ears, thus earning name Janvi. Now the next story about Ganga. A story about Ganga also speaks about Nandini, a wish-fulfilling cow and the daughter of the sacred Kamdhenu, who was given to the great rishi Vasishtha's ashram to help him perform his prayers and to take care of his guests. One day, 8 Vasus or minor gods experienced Nandini's hospitality and Vasishtha's ashram and came back and told their wives about her. The wives immediately wanted to possess the holy cow and that their husband catch Nandini and bring her to them. Prabhasa, one of the 8 Vasus, took the lead. He stole the cow and then directed the other cows out of ashram. Vasishtha became furious when he learnt of the robbery and cursed the 8 Vasus. You will all take birth as mortals on the earth as the punishment for your actions. He thundered. The Vasus begged Vasishtha for forgiveness until he agreed to reduce the potency of his curse. May you all be born out of the holy river Ganga and be immersed in her immediately after birth. Then your sins will be cleansed. But Prabhasa, who stole Nandini, will remain on earth for much longer time. That's why Ganga, who was married to king named Shantanu in her human form and became the queen of Hastinapur, immersed her first 7 children in water, freeing them from their human form and their lives as mortals. The last one, however, stayed on the earth for a long period of time as Bhishma, the respected warrior in the Mahabharata. Now the next story of Ganga. Shantanu's story, however, goes back to times of yore. In that time lived a frog in a forest. This frog heard about the river Ganga and how people used to go on pilgrimage to her to take a dip in her water. So the frog also decided to travel to the river. Sadly, he got caught in a stampede during his journey and was crushed to death under a man's foot. In his next birth, the frog took the form of man who was employed by Indra, the king of the gods. Indra was very appreciative of his work and gave the man a cart full of gold. Now that he had more than enough money to make the trip, the man again started his journey to the river Ganga. However, his bullocks died on the way and he was at a loss for how to continue further. He requested Surya, the sun god, for help. Lord, if you help me now, I will give you half of this gold. Surya assisted him, and the man managed to make his way to the Ganga. Once he was there, he took a dip in the waters and donated all the gold he had by immersing it into the river. A short time later, when Surya asked him for his share, the man was unable to pay. Surya, now angered, turned the man into a jackal as punishment. With no place to go, the jackal lived near the river and had a dip in the waters every day. Time passed until one day Ganga showed up in the form of a beautiful maiden. Fascinated, The jackal followed her. Ganga, afraid of the animal, threw a stone at the jackal, which hit him and blinded him in one eye. Still, the jackal continued to follow her. She ran to a sage nearby and hid behind him, telling him about the stalking jackal. Upset, the sage ensured that his disciple killed the animal, burned him, and immersed his ashes in the river. A few years later, the same ashes transported the seeds of a sal tree to the banks of the river. Eventually, a huge tree grew there. The sage, through his yogic powers, realized that the jackal's ashes were responsible and were a part of the tree. He immediately instructed his disciple to cut the tree down. So they felled the tree until only the dark trunk remained. The sage then ordered his students to burn the trunk. Out of this fire emerged a handsome young prince, whom the sage named Shantanu. The sage said, "Young man, for years you have tried to meet and be a companion to Ganga in different forms. I bless you with all my heart. You will marry her even if it is for a short period." Much later, Shantanu met Ganga again, now in her human form, and became enchanted by her beauty. She agreed to marry him on the condition that he must never question her actions. Deeply in love with her, Shantanu accepted this condition. In time, she gave birth to 7 children, whom she immersed in water after they were born. On the birth of the eighth child, Shantanu questioned her, fearing the fate of the newborn. This questioning broke the condition upon which Ganga had agreed to marry Shantanu. She abandoned him but left the eighth child with him. This child was none other than the glorious Bhishma. That was how Vasishtha's prophecy came true. Usually, Ganga is represented in the temples by a stone statue of a woman standing atop a crocodile and holding 2 pots of water. She is related to the Trinity very closely, since she was born from Brahma's Kamandalu, washed over Vishnu's feet, and emerged from Shiva's hair. The point where other rivers meet the Ganga is termed Prayag. For instance, you will find Rudraprayag, Karnaprayag, and Devprayag in Uttarakhand. Ganga also merges with river Yamuna in Allahabad, and this point of confluence is known as Prayag Raj. Do you like the different stories of Ganga? Tell me in the comment box and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching, guys.